for example, early on, I had a lucid dream where I was driving this red truck that I used to have, and I was driving past my grandmother's house, and there was this guy following behind me, like, just road raging it up. And I pull over, and I'm in my grandmother's backyard, and he hops out, and he's like yelling at me and all this stuff and coming up towards me. And I just, all of a sudden, I reach down out of nowhere and just pull out of nowhere the garden trowel. And as soon as he's like 3 feet away from me, I become lucid. And the instant I become lucid, everything freezes. And I realize, I said, okay, this aspect of myself is showing me what it represents. It's being very confrontational right now. And so I knew it represented the confrontational part of myself. And everything's still frozen. And so I real slow take the garden trowel and dig it straight into his heart. And then I wake up.
Welcome to another episode of Awaken Now What? I'm your spiritual awakening coach, JR.
And I'm your master energy healer, Helen. Awaken Now What is a podcast that illuminates your spiritual awakening and ascension.
Helen, have you ever had a lucid dream?
Not that I really know of, but I know that you have, right?
Right. I've had a handful. And today we'll be talking about the fascinating phenomena of lucid dreaming. And to help us with this conversation, we have spiritual mentor and author Tarak Uday. Tarak Uday. Let's welcome Tarak.
Hi, Tarak.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Before we deep dive into the world of lucid dreaming, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and what triggered you to explore metaphysics.
So I've been studying and teaching metaphysics for over a decade. What got me into it was just like one day I woke up, I knew I needed more energy. I didn't have a lot of energy, and it was like in my face, I don't have energy and I need to fix this. So my dad, he used to teach me Tai Chi when I was a kid. So I called him up and asked him, hey man, okay, so I know what you talked about, chi is energy. I want to know more about energy. Like, tell me like where I should go. He said, okay, look up Qigong and go from there. And that's really where it started. I started looking up Qigong. This was, smartphones weren't too smart. So I was on a desktop computer in my house, like Googling Qigong and finding different videos. Then that led me to chakras. Then that led me to this and that. And, like things like astrology and things I was already kind of familiar with and things, but not necessarily like a full natal chart. And so just one thing would lead to another, then the breath, and then, alkaline foods, and then sun gazing. Right. One time I just walk out my house and turn the corner, the sun's right there, and I'm gazing with it for like 5 minutes. And then, just think like synchronistic things like that just began happening. And I just was like full deep dive immersion into metaphysics. But dreams in particular, my whole life, I would have like epic, wild dreams. And I just intuitively, innately knew and felt that there was something to it, something more to it than, oh, you're just having a dream, don't worry about it, And so
right, that's what a lot of people say is, oh, it's just a dream.
Exactly.
It holds so much more significance.
Absolutely. And so that's been a fascination and driving desire of mine to understand ever since childhood, in my first memories even.
So for the listeners, let's break it down. What is lucid dreaming?
Yeah, so lucid dreaming, here's a hot take that's totally true. Well, one, before I talk about what's true and what's not, I don't want anybody listening to believe a single word that I say. Don't believe anything you hear me say.
Yes.
Use it in a way to, find out what's true for yourself, because then you're just going to rely on whether I'm, factual or not, or you just have to rely on believing me or not believing me. Instead, just create your own experience, because the difference between believing something and knowing something is experience, so that for one. But two, one thing that turns out to be a very hot take among a lot of people is that lucid dreaming, astral projection, and regular dreaming are all the exact same thing. Um, for some reason, a lot of people like get bent out of shape on that, but it's true. Whether you're remembering dreams or not, your consciousness is shifting from your physical body to your astral body, and your soul is traversing different planes of existence. With dreaming, you're having a memory. You're waking up with a memory that you were somewhere else. With lucid dreaming, it's the fact that you're becoming aware that you are gone while you're already gone. It's like, wait a second, this isn't my body. This isn't the physical reality. This source of light here is not the sun. What's going on? And then astral projection is simply when people remember leaving and remember coming or remember coming back. And that's really the only difference. Everything else is all the same. You can do the same things in a dream as you can lucid dreaming and astral projection. It's just a different level of awareness and different level of control.
Before we analyze lucid dreams, we kind of first have to examine dreams itself.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And levels of the mind, because that has so much significance. What are dreams?
Yeah, so dreams are just experiences within the inner levels of the subconscious mind. Like I said, when you sleep at night, your consciousness is shifting from the physical body to the astral body. You're closing off all of your senses, which is our ability to experience our outer physical reality, and our attention is going within. And so we're going into our subconscious mind and exploring the inner world of our inner consciousness. So instead of seeing things that are going on outside of ourselves, we're given insight into the things that are going on within ourselves. So, I say 3 rules about dreams. Every dream is about the dreamer, the person dreaming. If you have a dream about, your cousin Willie stealing money from you, it's not, saying don't trust your cousin Willie.
Right.
I mean, that may be true, but it's
like I've had some weird fucking dreams.
Yeah,
like everyone's had some weird fucking dreams. For example, I was eating leftover ribs at a restaurant in which I didn't buy them at.
Yeah. Nice.
So what's
no, that's a great dream. That's a great dream. Yeah.
What's the significance of those type of dreams, and what do they mean? Like your cousin Terry stealing money from you. What does that mean?
So the way that dreams work is dreams are in images, right? And so within our subconscious mind, we have thoughts, and thoughts are images. Like if I ask you to tell me what you ate this morning for breakfast, you can describe it to me because an image of it will pop up in your mind. If I ask you to tell me your dream car, you can describe it to me in color and detail because you can see it in your mind. So memory and imagination thoughts are images. But even if I say, think of a balloon, you can tell me the color because you can see the image of it within your mind. Some people I say that to, and they're like, well, I just saw the word balloon. Well, wait, you said you saw the word balloon. What color was the word? What font type was it in? You can describe all of that because you saw an image. And so our thoughts are images. And then we can get into like why the power of visualization is so powerful, because it's forming images, forming thoughts. But anyways, when we're going into the subconscious mind and assessing these thoughts, we need to understand the language of images, which is a language that all of our minds universally speak. There's idioms within our sayings that formulate the same language. But when you understand the language, the form and function of each symbol, then we can extract the interpretation and decode the actual dream. Like, for example, you were eating ribs, from a restaurant.
Leftover ribs.
Well, either way, it's food, right? We eat food. What's the purpose of food? To provide sustenance for the body. Yeah. Our teeth break it down so that we can better swallow and digest the food. Then our body extracts the nutrients to become a permanent part of our cells, tissue, organs, muscles. And then the waste, our body will eliminate because it's no longer useful. If it remains, it becomes toxic, right? Well, the same thing with like our life experiences and the lessons that we have to learn from them. Food will represent the knowledge contained within your life experiences. Because if we take our life experiences and really break them down and understand what happens, it'll be easier to digest and swallow what's occurred. And then it's easier to extract those life lessons out. And it becomes a permanent part of our soul, that learning, that understanding. Now I understand what forgiveness truly means. Now I understand what self-love truly means. Now I understand what compassion truly means. And that becomes a permanent part of your soul. And then you can let go of the experience. The experience that caused me to learn more about forgiveness, I can let go of cousin Willie stealing money, whether it was real life or not. Because if I hold on to that, it's going to become toxic. just like,
Right.
the waste, the shit, you got to let that shit go. So it'll become
Yeah.
toxic if you hold on to that. So food will represent knowledge. So the fact that you were eating food represents that
Mhm.
you were absorbing more knowledge from your life experiences. But we can go into, once we understand the basic, then we can go into further detail. Well, it was leftover food. So you're relearning something. You're getting more out of a previous lesson. Like maybe there was a lesson there that you had in abundance or something where you did learn a lot, but now you're still chewing on it. You're still absorbing even more from it. And then a restaurant is not like, because the drink could have easily had you pull it from the kitchen, right? From the refrigerator in
Right.
your own kitchen. But you were at a
Right.
restaurant, and the restaurant will represent how you're giving value, money. You're exchanging money for this. So you're acknowledging how valuable this lesson is, because money
Wow.
represents value. And since everything in the dream is about the self, it's more about like self value. So there's more self value that you are it accumulating through receiving this knowledge that you are like learning from the life lessons that you're having in life for the last 2 or 3 days before you had this dream. That's an amazing dream.
Well, wow. Thank you. I mean, so we should never dismiss any dream.
Oh yeah, never, never. Even if it's very minute, mundane. Even if you only remember one symbol, I was in a car, but I wasn't driving. I don't know where I was going. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know who I was with. Okay, you can
Right.
still
Your
extrapolate a
consciousness
lot
is
from that.
always active. It's always doing something,
Yeah, yeah,
whether we're aware of it or not.
yeah. The physical body needs to sleep. The conscious mind needs to rest. But the soul, the astral body, the subconscious mind, superconscious mind, the spirit, none of those need to rest. Your real self, your true self, definitely isn't resting. It's
Right. Right.
experiencing.
Helen, what? I'm sure you've had some weird dreams. What are some of your weird dreams? Strange,
I,
obscure.
I was marveling at how you, Tarak, just like pulled that, interpretation, dream
Right. That was
interpretation
fast
out
too.
so
That
quick.
fast
Yeah.
analysis.
Well, I mean, it really is a language. So it's just really
Right.
interpret, like as if he said something
Ooh.
in Japanese and I interpreted it for you. It's really all it
Right.
Ah.
was for me.
Right. You've had past lives. I just got this download. You've had many past lives in Egypt.
Maybe, probably. I know of one, but yeah.
I was gonna share. Yeah, last night I had a trippy one where I felt like I was in I was in a universe, and then an old boyfriend was in a universe, but he was like traveling to visit me. And the universe I was in was
Ooh.
like, I was like trapped, or I was living in a box basically. And it was like just for the purpose of him to visit me. And
Mm.
it felt really, not, I don't know what I was going to say stifling, but that's not it. It's like, I needed more than that existence. There you go.
Yeah. Feeling confined, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. I have no idea what that means. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, well, people is a great symbol to start with, also because we almost always have other people in our dreams. And so people are also sometimes the hardest things to interpret, because like I said, I can read you this letter that's in a foreign language to you, but only you can really understand what that letter means, what that true message actually represents.
Right.
So like people, I can tell you, people represent the different characteristics within our own personality. And so the people, the persons, the characters in your dreams will represent the different ways that you can portray yourself, but only you can determine what this old boyfriend would represent. So usually it's like the main quality that comes to mind when you think of them. So like if we were all sitting here talking and said, "Hey, does anybody know somebody who is stubborn?" And you think of that person, it's like, oh, that person will represent it. Your subconscious mind is using that person's face, that person's image, to convey to you a message about something about yourself, so that you can identify what the message is about, what it's about within yourself. So,
Right.
and then universes, well, one, like outer space will represent your inner space, but a universe will represent like your everyday consciousness as a whole. Like the state of your consciousness as a whole, because we can all be different in different states, because consciousness is dual. There's the content of consciousness and the state of consciousness. So like, for instance, if we're in an agitated state of mind, the different thoughts that make up that state of mind are the content, and then you have the state. But so we have different states of mind that we can be in, content, peaceful, happy, productive, loving, agitated,
Right.
confused, but the collective of your consciousness is going to be that universe, right? And so a cube is the base structure of a cube is a square, which has four sides, which represents stability. A chair also represents stability. The number four represents stability. All of these things, because just everything in the universe, once it reaches four, there's a level of stability with it. And so
Mhm.
that will represent the stability that you are experiencing. However, there's a need to expand further. So whatever main quality that you do see in that person, the subconscious mind is either telling you that there's something there that needs to be addressed, or there's something there, depending on whatever quality comes to mind. You can determine whether it's like, I need to address and face this within me to be able to expand further, or I need to use and harness this ability to be able to expand further. Like maybe when you think of that person, you think of you know just happiness, and so it's like, I need to utilize my own happiness, and that'll be the key to expanding further. Or maybe agitation, and so I need to address the ways I'm agitated, and that will help me to expand further. So however you see that person, that's going to be the key into unlocking that box and expanding further into your own inner universe.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's so neat. Thank
Yeah, you're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.
Helen, was it Begus?
No.
You dropping names.
I know.
The, Begus is one of my best friends and her ex-boyfriend, so that's why.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
years ago, with my therapist, we were doing dream analysis,
Mhm.
and this is way before I even got into metaphysics. And I would explain to her my dreams, and she would explain to me that each person in my dream represents an aspect of me,
Yeah, yeah.
and then analyze it from there. So I think that's great, and I think what you just talked about reinforces that. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just knowing that alone can do so much for someone.
Right.
They if even if they don't know anything else, how to interpret any of the rest of the dream, they can kind of look at that and go have a basis point to move off of.
All right. So lucid dreaming. How do we become more aware within our dreams and achieve deep lucidity?
Yeah, I mean, a basic, easy way is one of the things with one of the facts about dreams is that your dreams are going to be a reflection of your waking life. So the way you use your mind is going to be reflected within your dream. So if we're talking about the difference between regular dreams and lucid dreams, it's just a matter of awareness. You're more aware within a lucid dream.
Mm,
You're not just having the experience, but you're aware that you're outside of your body and you're more conscious, right? You're not as asleep. There's a level of
right.
consciousness within a lucid dream that has to be there in order to not be a regular dream. Just like to remember dreams, there has to be a level of consciousness there versus not remembering dreams and just waking up and it was just a black void. I don't remember anything. I just woke up and after I went to sleep. So if that's the difference, then we have to have that same reflection within our waking life. So there's many different things that you can do, but essentially the main core of what's needed, if you're wanting to increase the level of awareness within your dreams, you need to increase the level of awareness within your physical life. So we can,
Hmm.
how do we experience how are we aware of our physical reality? Through our senses.
Right.
So
Right.
really take a moment to look at what you're seeing, not just directly, but also your peripheral. There's an eye exercise that I give to some of my mentees and things, and it just helps strengthen the eyes. One of my students, like 8, 9 years ago, um, him and his wife, they both started doing this. And one week they came into class and they had these old glasses from like the 1980s. It looked like, and I'm like, did you guys break your glass? Like, I thought maybe they broke their glasses and that's all that was left. They're like, no, we were doing the eye exercise and we couldn't really see no more. So we had to go down in a prescription. And we haven't had these glasses in 20 years. And so,
Wow.
but
Oh
it does a lot
my.
of other things also helps with, deepening your meditation. But essentially you just look straight up as far as you can go, keeping your head still, look back to center, look straight down, look back to center. I mean, I'm widening my eyes just so that you all see. You don't have to do it like this.
Right.
But,
Ah.
yeah. But then you go to the left and back to center, and then to the right and back to center. And after about like 30
Right.
days of that, then you can do the cross, and then you can do an X after, and then start over. And you just go up, down, left, right, back to center each time. Diagonal up, left, diagonal down, right, diagonal up, right, diagonal down, left, and back to center each time. And then start over. Just do that for like 5 minutes. So that will also the reason I'm saying that in pertaining to what we're talking about now is that will really increase your peripheral vision. Like if you play sport, if someone's listening, they play sports, this is going to increase your court awareness, your field awareness tremendously. But so that'll help with the peripheral. So really just see
Right.
things, around
Right.
you more. What are you hearing right now? I'm only just now noticing I'm also hearing a small hum from the computer across the room. Maybe it's the air vent. Uh, that's about all I'm hearing because I have these on, so I don't hear
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
But really
So
listen more. Utilize your senses. What are you smelling? What are you tasting? What are you feeling?
right.
Feel the space behind you. That's a great exercise to do every once in a while to increase your awareness. Feel the space behind you.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
So fascinating. So our dream worlds and our waking life are not mutually exclusive. One affects the other,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and the possibilities within dreaming and lucid dreaming. What is possible in terms of spiritual evolution, spiritual growth, healing,
Yeah, I mean, the possibilities are limitless. Universal law of
experience?
infinity.
Yep.
Anything is possible. But as
Right.
far as like what is possible for you to go to sleep and become lucid tonight, and what all is possible for you to do in this very moment is going to be to the level and degree of what's possible within your mind in general. Like for example, one time when I was first started lucid dreaming, I was always testing the parameters of things. Like my very first lucid dream, I was flying, and then I thought to myself, what happens if I hit the ground? So I just stopped flying and let myself fall, and then I just like, here's the ground. I just came down, just hover above the ground. Then there was a wall coming. I was like, well, what happens when I hit the wall? Maybe something different. And then went that back the other way. But anyways, in this one dream, I became lucid right when I was about to run this race in track. And I used to run track in high school. And I was like, oh man, I get a chance to run track again. This is amazing. This is so much fun. Because I won't get that chance now because I'm out of shape. I'll get dusted. But I look up right before the race, and the whole track has all these potholes and everything. It's like terrible condition. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, it's a lucid dream. I can control everything. I look around at everybody like, calm down. It's okay. I got this. And, and I like raise my arms up thinking I'm going to smooth out the whole track. And next thing you know, like this mountain, like a mountain comes out of the ground, and then like a wave, it comes to over on top of everybody in the stadium and everything, and everybody's running and screaming. And I'm just sitting there watching. I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen when this hits the ground. Let's find out and see. Because like again, I'm like testing that. I've already tested
Right.
before. I can't get hurt, so let me see what happens. And it smacks, and then there's like this big sphere cave that I'm kind of in because it just like just held this space. And so then I go outside and I'm looking around and I'm like, why did that not work? How did I try to smooth the ground, but it turned into a mountain wave tsunami that overtook everybody? And I thought, oh, it's nighttime right now. Light represents awareness in a dream. I need more awareness. So for some reason, I thought smoothing out 110 meters didn't work, and it turned into a mountain. And for some reason, I had the thought, let me make the sun rise on the horizon.
Oh, wow. What power.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I go and I raise my hands. And I'm just, and I'm really hyper focused on the horizon, waiting to see just a little spark of light come to see that I'm having progress. And then the next thing that I know, all this fire rains down. It's like big fire drops just raining down on everything. And then I wake up. And it was like, once I woke up, then reason came back in. And I was like,
Right.
why did I think I could do that? But also, the sun represents superconscious awareness. The superconscious mind is the mind that our spirit uses in the fifth dimension. And so if I'm to be able to have the ability in a dream to make the sun rise on the east at my command, that means that I have control of within an instant bringing more superconscious awareness into my existence, into my experience, into my reality. But I didn't yet have that. I mean, I still don't
Mm.
to that degree have the ability to just command super conscious awareness to enter into my consciousness at such a great degree on command. In order for that to happen, I had, because what I did experience was fire raining down. Fire represents expansion, expansion of consciousness, and rapid expansion of consciousness. And that's what that, and water represents life experiences. So I would have to have these consciousness expanding life experiences raining down upon me in order to be able to have that ability to
Right.
raise that up. You know,
Fire and
so
water.
yeah, so I mean, in your dreams, you're going to have the level of ability dependent upon what ability you have within your waking mind. Like a lot of people fly in their dreams, but people who
Right.
lucid dream regularly, I don't know if you've experienced this, Jay, or not, but there's different levels of flying at different times. You know, sometimes I'll take off flying and I can fly as high as I want, as fast as I want. Sometimes it's more I'm just like hopping 800 yards at a time, you know,
Mm.
and sometimes I'm able to fly however I want, but not very fast. So it's all to flying represents, you know, being free of the, you know, mental freedom, being free of the things that normally weigh us down in life. So depending on how well I am at letting these things go and being free of these things is going to determine how well I can fly at night, as well as your willpower, obviously.
Right.
But yeah,
Uh, Random question. Well, it's
yeah.
not random. It pertains to the topic. I've had many dreams where I'm running, but I'm too tired to complete the run. Like I'm
Mm.
running and then I fall asleep and eyes get heavy.
Oh wow.
Uh, yeah. What's the significance of that?
Yeah. So running will represent putting a lot of effort towards your goals. And so you are experiencing a lot of effort towards your goals, but there's a point, and every time you get tired and you go to sleep, or just sometimes you go to sleep, sometimes you get tired.
More often than not, I'm just too tired to run.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Are you
So
talking about in
that's,
the dream itself?
yeah, in the dream itself. Yeah.
Yeah, in the dream itself, I'm I always remember I'm running and I'm too tired to my legs are heavy and I'm too tired to run.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So yeah, that just represents like needing more willpower to make sure you reach the end point on your goals. So like whatever goals you have in life, you're putting a lot of energy into it. And so one thing that I would suggest, like the way we recycle energy is through like we expend energy throughout the day, but then that, like I was talking about earlier, the knowledge that we receive from the learning and life lessons, that's how we recycle energy back in. So like that's another reason why dream working with your dreams is so important, because some people they
Right.
you can go to sleep for 8 hours and feel just as tired as when you went to sleep. You know, and some people can go
Right.
to only sleep like three. Some people talk about they only sleep 3 4 hours a day every single night, and they operate just fine like that,
It's
and they're very
right.
refreshed. Those type of people probably
Right.
work with their dreams a lot because they're assimilating their life experiences through their dreams, and they wake up and work with that, and then thus they're recycling that energy back into themselves. That's why like sleep in a dream
Mm.
represents assimilation. So like you were like, that's why I was asking about, do you only sometimes fall asleep, because you did say that, or is it mostly like, or you're always falling asleep? So it sounds like sometimes there's just a need, or at all times there's a need for just more willpower to really make sure you reach the finish line on your goals in the
Right.
timeline that you have set
Yeah,
for them. But
that makes
sometimes it
sense.
may also mean that there's something you need to assimilate that's kind of keeping you from getting there. So there's an added piece
Mm,
of learning, something to learn here to really get over that last hurdle to make it there. Because willpower is just all about, you know, making a conscious choice and having continuous, unceasing, relentless decisions towards that until your ideal is achieved. So, I mean, a lot of times we do have these goals and we put a lot of energy, and maybe we don't see the results that we think we should see so far. And it kind of,
right.
gets us
That
down
makes
something like,
sense.
man,
Yep.
why is
Me
like
personally.
I'm doing everything I know right? Why is this not producing the same result? Why is it not even producing the same results it did last week, or last year? And so we just have to continue to have an unceasing, relentless, continuous action towards that until the ideal is achieved.
I apologize for the influx of people that will be contacting you after they view this podcast.
No worries.
But great business for you. Great business for you.
Yeah, yeah. It's beautiful.
Oh,
Well, speaking of which, I mean, there's a whole, like most of my stuff I give away for free. So even if I
oh,
don't have enough time to contact and get in touch with everybody, there's like a community that you all can join in also that's metaphysical on my website, awakenwithin.us. You can follow the link there and get to it. But it
Awesome.
has a tons of resources. There's a dream symbol glossary that you can download and kind of use for your own
Oh,
guide
wow.
to decode the symbols. Yeah,
Awesome.
tons
Yeah,
of great stuff.
I'll put that all of that info in the show notes for sure,
Yeah,
so the listeners can use that as a resource.
yeah, definitely.
Um, in regards to location, does location matter? Um, is it easier to achieve lucid dreaming in nature as opposed to a concrete jungle?
Oh yeah, definitely, because you'll be more your body because what's like I said, what's happening is you're removing your attention from your physical body and moving it into your astral body. The more it's a receptive process, especially as far as like lucid dreaming. You have to, in order to make it happen, you have to be receptive and allow it to happen. So in nature,
Right.
the more natural environment you can be in, then the more naturally relaxed your body is going to become.
Right.
Because like in nature, if you go out into the woods, it is very dialed down as far as the activity that's
Right.
going on around you. Yeah, you
Tons
still
of
have
light
like these night
pollution.
creatures going on. Yeah, but in a city,
Right.
and the bigger the city, the more active it is at night. But it can be just as like New York or Vegas or LA,
Right.
these Miami, these cities are just as active at night as they are in the day almost.
Right.
And
And
so
we're talking about EMF pollutions as well
yeah,
from
EMF pollutions, but even
Wi-Fi.
just the energy that people emit, and
Right.
so just the energetic
Right.
activity that's going to cause a subtle disturbance within your own, it'll just naturally be easier. So not that it's not possible. You don't have to, oh, I'm in a lucid dream right now. Let me go out in my backyard or let me, go to the park and sleep tonight. You don't have to do those things, but definitely does help, especially not going to sleep with the TV on will definitely help. It'll definitely help
Right.
influence the
I
type of
shut off
things
all
you,
my shit.
yeah,
I shut off all my shit, like my Wi-Fi, my phone. I put it on airplane mode.
yeah,
Nothing.
yeah. Beautiful,
Um,
beautiful.
Could you speak to using lucid dreaming to interact with your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So this now you're getting into a true value and purpose for lucid dreaming because a lot of people when they talk about lucid dreaming they talk about like the fun things you can do like oh I can go flying or I can do this, I can do that. But where's the true purpose in that? Like just to go flying to experience that, if you start doing that every single night, give it 3 weeks and you'll be tired of it. All of these things, it is fun to do, but where's the true purpose? Where's the lasting benefit that you'll have from it? And as far as using lucid dreaming to interact with your thoughts, that's where the true value and power is. I talk about how dreaming is the number one tool for self awareness because it allows us this insight into our inner self. The subconscious mind. Subconscious mind and conscious minds are two halves to a whole. They're working together to create our reality. You hear people all the time talking about our thoughts create our reality. These different universal laws, cause and effect, thought is cause, law of attraction and things. But when you understand the mechanics of manifestation and how the conscious, subconscious minds work together, then you understand the true value that dreams afford you. And as far as the ability to increase your self-awareness and become more aware of who you are, of what's going on, what is needed to achieve your goals and progress in the ways that you want in life, have the experiences that you want in life, and become the person, individual you want to become in life. And so when we first understand the insight that dreams afford us, and then we understand that language of mind to where, like, if you start really practicing interpreting dreams in the universal language of the mind, it won't be long before you're in the dream interpreting the dream while you're in it. And so then when you're
Mm.
becoming lucid and you have that ability, then it's like, oh, okay, there's a horse here.
hmm
Okay, and
What does this
horse
horse mean?
horse represents willpower.
Yeah.
Okay, I have choices. I can either let the horse walk by, I can walk up and pet the horse, or I can jump on the horse's back and ride it. Or I can beat the horse or kill the horse. There's tons of choices you have. But the more you
Right.
understand what that represents, then the more you'll understand how you want to interact with it. Like for example, early on, I had a lucid dream where uh, I I was driving this red truck that I used to have, and I was driving past my grandmother's house, and there was this guy following behind me, like just road raging it up,
hmm
and and I pull over, and I'm in my grandmother's backyard, and he hops out and he's like yelling at me and all this stuff and coming up towards me. And I just all of a sudden I reach down out of nowhere and just pull out of nowhere a server tray, because I was a server at the time in a restaurant, and I was like, this isn't going to help me. And so I put my hand back down and pull it back up, and then there's a garden trowel. And as soon as he's like 3 feet away from me, I become lucid. And the instant I become lucid, everything freezes. And I realized, I said, okay, I have a couple choices here. I can either well, at first I realized, oh, this guy represents, because I didn't know the guy. So it's not like when I was talking with Helen before, your ex-boyfriend, what do they represent? But this aspect of myself is showing me what it represents. It's being very confrontational right now. And so I knew it represented the confrontational part of myself. And so I thought, okay, I have a couple choices. I can wake up now and just write down the dream and work on being confrontational, decode the dream and work on it that way. Or I can allow the dream to go on and progress how it naturally progresses, which is what I would do it with lucid dreaming at the time. That's how I always suggest people start out with lucid dreaming. Just allow the dream to progress how it normally does. Don't change anything, and use the lucidity to pull out more details until you really get to a point where you can understand these things with the dream. And so my third option is I can interact with this in a way of how I want to handle this confrontational part of myself. And I thought to myself for a moment, and I'm like, it's still frozen. Everything's frozen. I'm just like thinking it to myself, and I think, okay, I don't want to be confrontational anymore. I want to change this part of myself. And everything's still frozen. And so I real slow take the garden trowel and dig it straight into his heart. And then I wake up. And so I know now, like with where I'm at with lucid dreaming at this point, I know this is a very serious moment, because I just went into myself and formulated like a spiritual surgery, like going in and ripping out a tumor, like having a doctor rip out a tumor. The doctor doesn't say, okay, go home, continue doing what you're doing, go play basketball on Tuesdays and, mow your lawn on Sundays, keep eating whatever you're eating. No, the doctor's like, okay, now these next 3 weeks, we need you to drink lots of water. Don't do anything for the next 3 days. Just sit and rest. There's like specific instructions of what you need to do, because you just had this surgery happen. You need to respond accordingly, or things might get worse. So the same thing with, changing things in your dream. I know that I just transformed this confrontational part of myself on the inside. So if on the outside, in my outer reality, I still go to work and am very confrontational with people, or meet people out in the public and am very confrontational with them. I'm a Taurus bull. So before I got too deep into metaphysics and meditation and things, I was very confrontational. It wasn't good. But I mean, it wasn't like extremely bad or anything, but for me, it wasn't healthy at all. It was toxic, and ruined some relationships and friendships and things. But I knew that I changed that within myself. So I knew that if I continued to operate the same way, things would be worse. It would have worse repercussions, worse reactions to what I'm doing if I continued forward with that. So I had to make a very conscious choice. Okay, I'm going to work on being confrontational. And things rapidly changed. Like this one friend that I worked with, it was like a week later. And we would always get into these arguments, heated debates. But it wasn't anything. It was like one time I remember we were talking about perspective, and how he was saying all of life is only perspective, and whatever your perspective is, that's your determination of life. That is life perspective. And I was like, yeah, but there's way more to it than just perspective. And we would have we would both have these heated arguments about it. And one time, I forget what we were talking about on this particular day, but it was like a week later, he turned to me, he said, Tarak, you're an idiot. And normally I would have reacted to that and been more I would have met his confrontation and took it up a level. And instead I just looked at him. I said, you know what? You might be right. Let me take a moment to think on it, and I'll come back to you and let you know. And it wasn't even like there was a moment of, this is how I want to respond. And then, no, let me not respond that way. And then that just naturally came out. So it was more natural. It was easier to not be confrontational, but I still had to make a choice not to do that. And then the look on his face, just melted away. He was like, okay. And we never had an argument ever after that. Right. Never again. It was always very a harmonious discussion and things. And I never even went back to him and told him anything about that. but it was
you completely neutralized the situation.
Yeah.
With your own inner healing. your own
Exactly.
inner work.
Exactly. And so
Wow,
that
there's
is,
so much power in that.
yeah, there's so much power in that. And so to Helen's question, what can you do with, like, what is with interacting with your thoughts within dreams? I mean, you can do a ton. You can overcome, 10 years of breath work in just one night,
Right,
possibly.
right,
Yeah.
right. Uh, yeah, my mentor always talks about how we receive information and healing in the forms of inspiration, creativity, and dreams. And dreams hold so much weight and power and
Yeah.
significance in our daily lives. Man,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is such a great topic for today. Such a great topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned this in your book, simultaneous dream time. I've read that many indigenous tribes experience this frequently. I've never had this done, but have you had any experience doing this with someone else? Simultaneous dream time.
The only way that I've experienced it is more through like visitation dreams. So as far as like in the book of like multiple people having similar dreams, I think it may be mostly talking about like major events happening and people having precognitive dreams about the same major event.
Right.
But you
Right.
can also have like visitation dreams where two people are having the same experience. But it's like right now, if we were to say, hey, let's meet up at this event in Houston, and we go there and we meet up, there's possibility of that. Well, within the astral plane, you can go and meet up with people there. So I've had people, where we would have a similar dream experience. Like for example, when I very first started in the School of Metaphysics, a friend of who was a classmate there, he had really bad breath all the time, and I wanted to tell him, but me and him didn't always really have like the most harmonious relationship. So he's already kind of sensitive in the first place,
Right.
and then hearing it from
Right.
me probably wouldn't be the best either. But I really wanted to share this with him because I didn't want him to continue to experience what I was watching him experience with other people, and or myself. But
Right.
then one day we're in class, and we always end class with our teacher. Like we'll have a shared dream, and then we'll interpret it, and then our classmates will offer what they see in it, and then he'll offer further insight after that. And but this time, for some reason, he said, open up your dream journals and read the very last dream that you put in there. And so we're all reading them, and then it gets around to my classmate, and he's like, "This is all I have. I wake up on my couch. There's a knock at my door. I open up the door, and there's Tarak, and he looks at me. He says, 'Your breath smells bad.' And then I wake up, and I bust out laughing in class. I'm like, "Oh my god!" And they're looking at me. They're like, "What's funny?" I'm like, "I've been wanting to tell you that for weeks, but I didn't know how. I guess I found a subtle way for you to accept it." And it was hilarious. Yeah, it was wild. It was hilarious.
Oh god.
What?
Yeah, and I've
Yeah,
had that. I've had
communicating
that a lot where
astral.
maybe like a dozen times where someone will come back to me and tell me that I showed up in their dream and said something to them, and it was something that I had been wanting to say to them, but just
Right.
didn't in the
Right.
physical. But that hasn't happened for like maybe 6 or 7 years though. But yeah,
Wow. What a story. Holy fuck.
I've gotten better at having hard conversations with people. So
Through the astral. Through the
yeah,
astral.
yeah, yeah.
I've learned that negative sacred geometry cities actually control the dream world of certain geographical locations.
Mm.
Are you aware of this? And what can we do to bypass anything that controls or has control over our dreams?
Yeah, well, just know that you have the ultimate control. Thought is cause. Your thoughts create your reality. Now, a belief that you have will also have control because a belief is just a thought that you continue to think. So
Mhm.
those who have stronger beliefs about certain things will have more parameters and limitations within their own mind that will seem like something else may have control. And so now, yes, there is a tie to the physical energetically. However, physical locations are just that, physical locations. And you
Right.
can create connections and vortexes and things that have a particular frequency of energy for a particular purpose that aligns with the astral. But the thing is that the astral is so dynamic. Like the astral realm is within the fourth dimension. So the fourth dimension is time, and so we're here in the three dimensions. We have length, width, and also depth. That's what separates us from two-dimensional beings. We have depth, and two-dimensional beings do not. Four-dimensional beings, the fourth dimension is time. So right now we're in this third dimension. So anytime we're in the physical body or in the physical reality, we are locked in the present moment. We cannot experience the past. It does not exist. We cannot experience the future. It does not exist. But we have the ever-evolving present moment. When we go into the fourth dimension, then there's time. So as far as, I mean, you can, as far as answering that question, when were those forms and connections made? So it's very easy and possible to experience within the astral in a certain way to where prior to any of those forms were made, prior to any of your physical incarnations, many years into a possible, probable future. And so there's so much that's possible there that anything that feels like it's constricting or limiting you within the fourth dimension, I guess, unless it's a matter of space, because that's the fifth dimension, then it's just a matter of a limitation within your mind, usually a formulated belief that was, installed through some way in your conscious upbringing, your conscious mind.
Wow. Great answers, great explanations, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I just Googled that real quick and it popped up on the screen. I just read it off. It was AI. AI came up with that. No, I'm just kidding.
AI.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another episode, man. I was about to ask another question, but we won't go there. That's another deep topic.
Another hour, 2 hours.
Another hour. You talk about the fourth dimension, and we can freely move between all possibilities of the past and freely move through the infinite possibilities within the future. This kind of explains quantum jumping, quantum timeline jumping.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can affect the past and the future. Can you expand more on that? And does this actually explain some of the Mandela effects, how some of past events were affected and altered?
Yeah, I mean, practice it, try it out. I remember the very first, I'll tell you another story. I remember the very first time I came across some information about it being possible to change your past. And it was a report I read. This again before smartphones, so I don't even remember where I was at, but I remember being at my desktop and I was reading this article about these scientific experiments where they would take a random number generator and a bunch of people in a room, and they would run the random number generator like 100 times and see, or like 1,000 times, or something like that, some large number, and how frequent did certain numbers pop up. And then they took these people in a room and they gave them all one number and to all think about, and they all thought about the one number. And then they brought the random number generator into the room, ran it however many times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times, who knows. And that one number came up in an improbable amount, like amount of times that was improbable. Like it should not have been this much more than all these other numbers.
Right.
And they did the experiment a couple times to verify, and it's like, it's not a fluke. This consciousness has an effect on this somehow. Well, then they did it with running the random number generator a bunch of times and then bringing it into the room and running it and not releasing the results, and then having people come into the room and come up with a number collectively, think of the number, and then they would pull up the results, and it changed the results from the past. Now, some could say it changed the results. Some could say that it, maybe they just intuitively perceived what number came up improbably much more than the rest, and they all just collectively did that. But the fact that a number did come in a much higher number than normal, with all the 1,000 times, like it's like 1,000 times they ran it, and the only one number, the most one number popped up was like 4 times. Out of these 1,000, 10,000 numbers, or whatever. Well, all of a sudden on this one, it popped up 20 times. So it's like, it's an improbable amount that this came up. So it does have an effect. And I remember reading this, like, man, your past can have an effect. And at the time, I mean, I was, like I said, it was early on. I was still serving tables. So, I'm strapped for cash, living payday to payday, because you get paid cash waiting tables every day. And it's around tax time. And I remember it was like 2 or 3 days later, me and my friend, we always we would post our taxes and file them like February 1st, the earliest day we could. And we'd always get them like 2 or 3 weeks later. This is like end of February. We still hadn't gotten it. We had talked about it before. Like, man, you didn't get yours yet? I didn't get mine yet either. This is weird, because and I remember waking up like 3 days after I read this article, and he calls me up because it was early. Oh man, I just got a letter from the IRS said it's gonna be delayed another month to a month and a half. He was like, did you get that letter? I said, no, I didn't. I said, no, I didn't get that letter. Don't speak that out for me. He said, no, it's happening. I got the letter. You're going to get the letter. Yours is delayed too. I said, no, that may be true for you. That's not true for me. And I just hung up on it. And then the idea of the article came to mind. I said, I'm about to change my past. So I sat down and I on my couch. I closed my eyes and I just visualized very intently pulling up my phone, opening up the app, and the money being there, and me being really excited about it. And I also visualized calling him back and telling him about it.
Right.
And then I opened my eyes right out. I probably spent like 5-10 minutes visualizing this over and over and visualizing every detail, calling the number to call him back, the whole conversation we would have. And I opened my eyes, I opened up the app, plugged it in, and my bank account, it had deposited, and it was, my new balance was $3,333.33.
Wow.
Wow. And that for me, that was like confirmation, because otherwise I probably would have been like, did it work or was it just coincidence? Because again, I was very early. I was very skeptical to a lot of things I was learning and implementing and applying. But that was like I've never even had a repeating number as my balance ever. And today it's that, and it's all threes.
That's such an amazing example.
Yeah. It's all right. Yeah, got a 3-month-old. Just woke up.
I know. How's the baby doing?
Doing wonderful. She's doing wonderful. Yeah, she's growing fast. She's getting smart. Now it's nice because now it's kind of to a point where she doesn't cry all the time. She tries to talk, so it's just like so it's yeah. So I mean, it's at least nice that it's not like wailing anymore. But
right.
But it's fascinating to watch the development and growth. Yeah,
that's amazing. Brand new life. Helen's due pretty soon.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah,
nice.
Thank you. Congratulations, likewise.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
But I just want to expand further on what you just said. That was such a great example, such a great story, and just like we talked about the possibilities earlier, possibilities within the dream world, the fourth dimension. To say, I was talking to my girlfriend about this with my girlfriend the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say you never grew up with love, and then you become aware at a certain point in your consciousness. You go back in time, you meditate, you travel the fourth dimension in the dream world or in the waking state. You send that person love. You've changed time.
Yes.
You've changed time. This is the power of this conversation, of the awakening in general. Mm-hmm. My God, it's powerful stuff. Powerful stuff.
Yeah, and we intuitively, inherently know this. Like for example, you can probably go to a therapist and just give them a story about how you weren't loved as a child, and 9 times out of 10, I bet they'll give you some sort of exercise of like, okay, let's close our eyes now. Let's bring that child to the present.
Inner child healing.
Yeah, exactly. And that person may not know anything about metaphysics, and so all we're doing is just describing the metaphysical mechanics of how this is possible and how it's done, and then thus leveling our awareness of it to make it more powerful in being able to do it. Because, like I said, belief is a major part of it. Like for that story, if I would have first pulled out my phone and pulled up the account and saw, $220, I would have been a lot harder for me to formulate that thought and create a whole different reality, because I now had a very strong belief of what that balance really is. So the energy that I'm putting into the thought form that I'm creating, that I'm visualizing, isn't going to be the same. The how long I'm doing the exercise probably wouldn't have been the same. I probably just did it for a minute or two. Let's try it. Nope, didn't work. See, that article is bullshit. And so the level of belief has a ton to do with it.
Belief, energy, it all creates your reality. It all
absolutely,
creates your reality.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's very possible to be able to go back and change that in time and rewrite your own narrative to your own life. Absolutely.
Powerful stuff. Powerful fucking stuff, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Thanks for having me.
All of this has been so fascinating. And now we've reached the now what part of our episode. So Tarak, what would you have left to say to our audience about lucid dreaming and the power that it can harness?
Absolutely. Now what? This is amazing. So what I would say is, like I said at the very beginning, oops, don't believe anything that you just heard, but find a way to implement it into your life. So the different exercises that I may have described, practice those. If I didn't provide one, you can easily Google any type of exercise. Like concentration is very big in remembering your dreams, lucid dreaming, because you are where your attention is. So if you become lucid, if you don't have control over your attention, you're going to have no control over navigating where you go or where you're at or what you experience. And the level of control that you do have is dependent upon the level of control of your attention. So I didn't provide any concentration exercise, but you can easily Google 20. So find a way to implement these things into your life, put them into practice, create an experience for yourself. Start writing down your dreams every single night. Even if you don't know how to interpret it, just write them down. That's going to create a stronger relationship. Just writing them down and not interpreting them and giving them more attention, because it's giving a stronger relationship with your conscious mind and subconscious mind, you're naturally going to increase your intuition, because intuition is the power of the subconscious mind. You're naturally going to have a stronger connection with your own soul, which is your own soulmate, thus having a stronger bond and being more whole within yourself and more centered. So even if you don't interpret your dreams, just writing them down will have an effect on all of these things. So that would be a great thing to do. Now what? Write them down. Work with them.
Now
Yeah.
that's perfect. Now what? Tarak Uday, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
this is so much fun. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was an honor.
Tarak,
Truly.
two things. Where can the listeners find you? And is your book released yet, or when will it be released?
Not released. It was delayed a little, and then since the baby, it's been delayed a lot.
Okay.
I had a plan for like 4 books this year, and I still only have 1. But I should be able to get at least definitely 2 to 3 out this year. But anyways, it's not out quite yet. Should be. I'm shooting for the fall for the lucid dreaming book to be released, Lucid. But you can find me at my website, awakenwithin.us. That will lead you to all the things, like the Metaphysical Mastery community has tons of resources, expanding your third eye, lucid dreaming. All the courses are available in there for purchase, or as a mentee, you get all the courses for free, and that's only like $5. But the Metaphysical Mastery community is completely free. There's tons of stuff in there. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. I'll make sure to put all that info in the show notes.
Yeah.
Tarak, Rock. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
If you like this episode, please subscribe. I'm your spiritual awakening coach, JR.
And I'm your master energy healer, Helen. Until next time, everyone.
Peace.